In the shadows of a world hidden from view, where the line between human and supernatural blurs, emerges a tale of two unlikely heroes. Welcome to the extraordinary saga of Lucas and Elara, werewolves bound not just by their shared nature, but by a relentless quest for justice. Every episode unravels a new chapter in their ongoing battle against the corrupt and the cruel. From the depths of the occult to the heights of corporate towers, they move in silence, striking where least expected. Their mission: to save the innocent and expose the malevolent. Armed with their wits, supernatural abilities, and a bond unbroken by adversity, they face adversaries both human and beyond. In a world where the prey can turn predator and the hunter becomes the hunted, Lucas and Elara navigate the grey areas of morality, justice, and loyalty. Join us as we delve into the heart of darkness, where danger lurks in every corner and courage is the only light. This is not just a journey through the night, it's a quest to bring balance to a world veiled in secrecy and rife with hidden threats. Get ready to enter a realm where myths come alive and heroes are born under the light of the moon. This is the world of Lucas and Elara. This is Lunar Shadows, the chronicles of Lucas and Elara. Chapter 1. The Trail to the Cult of the Silver Moon. In the dimly lit interior of their vehicle, Lucas and Elara were deep in conversation, the events of their previous adventures still fresh in their minds. Their phones chimed, signaling another message from Maya. Elara opened the message, her brow furrowing as she read aloud. It's Maya. She's found more information about the cult of the Silver Moon. She says a group of werewolves is forcing other werewolves to join them. It's not just manipulation, it's coercion. Lucas let out a low growl, his eyes narrowing. A cult of werewolves, huh? Going up against our kind, that's going to be tough. Especially if they're numerous, and we're just two. Elara nodded, her expression resolute. But if they're forcing others, we can't just stand by. Werewolves value freedom, Lucas. Whatever this cult is doing, it goes against everything we stand for. Lucas sighed, leaning back in his seat. I know. It's just going up against a cult, especially one of our own kind. It's risky. Cults can be fanatical, and if they're using supernatural law to control their members, who knows what we're walking into? Elara reached over, placing a hand on his. We've faced risks before. We'll do our reconnaissance, figure out their numbers, their strengths. We're not going in blind. Maya's intel will help. Lucas looked over at her, his eyes reflecting a mix of concern and admiration. All right, but we do this smart. We find out what we're dealing with first. We can't just rush in. Elara agreed. Absolutely. We'll start by gathering more information. Maybe try to find some of their ex-members. They could give us insights into the cult's inner workings. The drive continued in thoughtful silence as they headed towards the location Maya had provided. The cult of the Silver Moon was their next challenge, a group shrouded in mystery and danger. Lucas and Elara knew they were walking a fine line, but their determination to free the manipulated and bring down the cult's leadership was unwavering. As they neared their destination, the weight of their new mission settled upon them. They were about to infiltrate a cult that not only used supernatural law to control its followers, but also comprised their fellow werewolves. It was a mission that would test their strength, cunning, and resolve to the fullest. Chapter 2. Seeking allies in the shadows. Under the cover of darkness, Lucas and Elara approached the base of the cult of the Silver Moon, moving with practiced stealth. From a concealed vantage point, they observed the layout of the cult's stronghold. The perimeter was heavily guarded, with over 10 guards patrolling the area. Additionally, they spotted 3 men who appeared to be in charge, exuding an air of authority. Lucas whispered, "There's no way we can take them all on. If they're all werewolves, or even half of them, we'd be outnumbered and outmatched." Elara nodded in agreement. "We need help. This is too big for just the 2 of us." She quickly sent a message to Clara, the journalist friend of Eldridge, the ancient vampire, seeking his aid. A few hours later, as they huddled in their hiding spot, a message came through. "He's coming," Clara had written. Before Elara could finish her sentence, a voice emerged from the shadows. "Good evening," Eldridge said, materializing beside them. Lucas jumped, startled. "How did you get here so fast?" Eldridge gave a small, enigmatic smile. "Ah, I see my powers impress you. I do not merely clamber around. I can move from shadow to shadow, travel anywhere in the dark. It's almost instant." "Now how can I help my favorite furry friends?" Eldridge inquired, his tone light, but his eyes serious. Elara quickly briefed him on the situation, outlining the strength and organization of the cult. Eldridge listened intently, his expression growing thoughtful. "That's a lot of wolves," he mused. "We need an edge. I know just the thing, but it may take some time to acquire. I have a contact in the Cult of the Night. He's a stubborn one, but does possess some interesting trinkets. Give me some time to bargain with him." In the meantime, Lucas and Elara were alone in their quest to take down the Cult of the Silver Moon. With Eldridge off to secure whatever advantage he could find, they needed to plan their next move carefully. "We'll have to proceed cautiously," Lucas said, his mind racing with strategies. "We can't take on the cult head-on, but maybe we can find a way to weaken them from the inside." Elara nodded. "We'll start by gathering more intel. We need to understand their hierarchy, their rituals, anything that can give us an opening." With their resolve strengthened and a powerful ally in Eldridge, Lucas and Elara prepared to infiltrate the cult. The night was still young, and the moon hung high in the sky, casting its silver light over the scene. The cult of the Silver Moon was about to face 2 determined werewolves, ready to challenge their reign and free those under their control. The fight for freedom and justice had just begun. Chapter 3. The Cult's Dark Secret. Under the cloak of night, Elara set out her plan. She would venture into the cult camp, posing as a lone lichen seeking refuge. Her story was that she had heard of the Cult of the Silver Moon and their protection of their kind. She yearned to join a family, a pack that would embrace and protect her. With a mix of apprehension and determination, Elara approached the cult's stronghold. She was greeted with suspicion at first, but her tale of seeking a pack to belong to resonated with some of the cult members, and they allowed her entry. As she mingled with the members, Elara discovered that the cult was indeed a formidable force, bound by a strong belief in their leader's supremacy. Whispers among the members revealed that the leader was not just any werewolf. He was a super werewolf, possessing the strength of 10 of his kind. "You're safe with us," one member assured her. "Our leader will protect you from the outside world. Under his guidance, we are invincible." That night, as Elara lay in her makeshift bed within the cult, a chilling scream pierced the silence. Moving quietly, she sneaked out to investigate. From the shadows, she spied on the cult leader, witnessing a scene that sent shivers down her spine. The leader, a commanding figure with a fierce presence, was in the process of absorbing power from another man. The man, a werewolf, in his human form, writhed in agony as his strength was siphoned away. The moon wasn't full, so he couldn't transform to defend himself. Elara overheard a conversation that revealed the source of the cult leader's power, a unique amulet that absorbed the power of lichens, transferring and amplifying it to the wearer. The cult leader, whom they called Fenric, had grown unnaturally powerful through this dark method, accumulating the strength of every lichen he subdued. Elara realized the enormity of the threat Fenric posed, not just to her and Lucas, but to all werewolves. His ability to strip them of their power and add it to his own made him a predator among predators. Quietly, Elara retreated to her quarters, her mind racing with this new information. She needed to get word to Lucas and Eldridge about Fenric's amulet and the true nature of his strength. The cult was not just a group of werewolves seeking kinship. It was a trap, with Fenric preying on his own kind. As the first light of dawn crept into the sky, Elara knew that the mission had taken a more dangerous turn. They were up against a foe unlike any they had faced before, and the stakes had never been higher. She prepared to send a message to Lucas, detailing her findings and the urgent need for a plan to stop Fenric and his reign of terror. The battle against the cult of the Silver Moon had just become a fight for the survival of their kind. Chapter 4. Captured in the cult camp. Elara's attempt to sneak out of the cult camp and rendezvous with Lucas was thwarted as she was caught by one of Fenric's guards. Trying to think quickly, she explained, "I just wanted to get some fresh air. I'm not used to being cooped up." The guard was skeptical. "We'll let Fenric decide," he said, escorting her to stand before the imposing cult leader. Confronted by Fenric, Elara knew she had to tread carefully. His gaze was piercing, and his demeanor exuded both charisma and threat. "You join us. Then you want to leave us? Which is it?" Fenric questioned, his voice laced with suspicion. Elara tried to concoct a cover story, but Fenric was not easily deceived. He cut through her words, emphasizing the importance of the pack. "In this family, we stick together. The needs of the many come before the needs of the individual. You must understand that if you wish to be part of us." Elara could see Fenric's amulet, the source of his formidable power, securely fastened around his neck. It seemed impossible to steal or break without being noticed. "Fortunately for you, I have already fed," Fenric said with a chilling calmness. "But my hunger will return soon, and then I will call for you." The implication was clear. He intended to absorb her lichen power next. Elara was then locked in a cage with two other members, a man and a woman who looked defeated and wary. As she sat there, she mumbled to herself, "Please not the front door, Lucas." She feared that Lucas might attempt a direct and potentially disastrous rescue. She knew that confronting Fenric head-on, especially with his amplified powers, would be a dangerous gamble. As the hours passed, Elara kept a vigilant eye on the activity in the camp, looking for any opportunity or weakness they could exploit. She quietly spoke with her fellow captives, gathering information and formulating a plan. The situation was dire, but Elara held on to hope. She knew Lucas and Eldridge were out there, possibly devising their own strategy to dismantle the cult and rescue her. Time was running out, and the stakes were higher than ever. The showdown with Fenric and his cult was imminent, and Elara prepared herself for whatever was to come. Chapter 5. The Clash of Beasts. Elara, confined within the cell, perked up at the sound of a familiar howl piercing the night. "I know that howl," she said softly, a mixture of worry and recognition in her voice. "But the moon isn't due for another week." The cult camp erupted into chaos. members scrambling in all directions. The howl echoed once more, this time unmistakably from the front entrance. "I knew it," Elara muttered to herself, a note of frustration in her voice. From the shadows of the cell, a voice spoke. He insisted. Eldridge emerged, his presence bringing a sliver of hope. Elara quickly explained their predicament. Eldridge's brows furrowed in concern. "Oh, that amulet could be a problem. I managed to secure the reverse moonstone from the cult of the night at great cost, but I have no idea how it will work against that amulet. Even I have never encountered such a thing." Suddenly, the front entrance of the camp came into view, and there stood Lucas in his full werewolf form. "How?" Elara gasped in surprise. "Oh, he has some torch strapped to his back and turned on," Eldridge casually replied. The cult members, now in a state of utter panic, screamed, "A Lycan who can change at will! It's unheard of!" The myth of a werewolf with such ability added to the terror already gripping the camp. Lucas, empowered by his transformation, began advancing towards Elara's cage. But before he could reach her, Fenric confronted him. In his human form, Fenric appeared less threatening. Lucas, sensing the advantage, prepared to attack. Then Fenric touched his amulet, and his body began to transform into his superwolf form. Towering over Lucas, Fenric let out a deep, primal roar, sending a shudder through the camp. When Lucas lunged, Fenric swatted him aside effortlessly. "Oh dear," Eldridge murmured, watching anxiously. "I can't use the stone. It will reverse Lucas as well." Fenric, now in his monstrous wolf form, picked up Lucas with one hand and threw him to the ground. The sound of breaking glass and a flicker of light indicated the moon torch had been destroyed, and Lucas began to revert to his human form. Seizing the moment, Fenric scooped up the weakened Lucas and tossed him into the cage with Elara and the others. Fenric then touched the amulet again, reverting to his human form. "Soon, we will be ready for all of you," Fenric declared. "I need to prepare for such an undertaking." Elara and Lucas exchanged glances, both realizing the direness of their situation. Eldridge, observing silently from the shadows, contemplated his next move. Fenric's amulet made him a formidable foe, and they needed to find a way to counter its power. As the night wore on, they prepared for the inevitable confrontation, knowing that the fate of many hung in the balance. The cult of the Silver Moon had never faced opponents like Lucas, Elara, and Eldridge, and they were not about to give up without a fight. Chapter 6. The Final Confrontation. "Eldridge, just shadow them," Lucas urged, eyeing the vampire with a mix of hope and desperation. Eldridge shook his head slightly. "It doesn't work so well on you Lycans," he said. "You seem to have a resistance to my attacks. Haven't you heard the tales of Lycan versus vampires? We rarely come out on top." Elara, her mind racing with strategies, interjected. "Give me that stone." She had been observing Fenric closely. "I saw how he absorbs the power. You have to be close, and he will be in human form. I can use it against his amulet right at the time of absorption." Lucas voiced his concern, worry evident in his voice. "That's too close. And how do you know he'll pick you first?" "I'll make him," Elara stated firmly, her resolve clear. Time passed, and the moment for the ceremony of absorption arrived. Fenric, away from the camp with 2 guards to avoid alarming his cult, intended to absorb all 4 of the Lycans in the cages. Elara, seizing the opportunity, demanded him to go first, pleading for Fenric's mercy to spare her from watching Lucas be absorbed. "I will go freely," she offered, feigning defeat. Fenric, feeling a surge of superiority, agreed to her request. The absorption process began, but as Fenric raised his arms, exposing the amulet, Elara made her move. With a swift, decisive motion, she smashed the reverse moonstone into the amulet. A blinding light erupted from the collision, the stone and the amulet effectively cancelling each other out and rendering both useless. In the chaos, Eldridge emerged from the shadows, freeing Lucas and the other two captives from their bonds. Lucas, now free, lunged at Fenric. The ensuing battle was intense, but grounded in human form. Lucas, an expert in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, used his skills to control Fenric, countering the cult leader's size and strength advantage. He maneuvered into a position to secure a back control, then sank in a rear chokehold. Meanwhile, Elara, Eldridge, and the two other captives managed to subdue Fenric's guards. The cult members, witnessing the fall of their leader and the breakdown of his power, were thrown into disarray. Fenric, overwhelmed by Lucas's technique and strength, began to lose consciousness. The chokehold was unrelenting, and soon he lay motionless, defeated but alive. The cult of the Silver Moon, with its leader incapacitated and its power source destroyed, was effectively dismantled. The werewolves, who had been coerced into joining the cult, were now free from Fenric's manipulation. As the sun began to rise, casting a new light on the once menacing camp, Lucas, Elara, Eldridge, and the freed werewolves looked on at the dawn of a new day. They had faced an enemy unlike any other and emerged victorious. Their journey had been fraught with danger, but together they had overcome the odds. The bond between Lucas and Elara, tested and strengthened through their battles, was unbreakable, and as they stood amidst the remnants of the cult, they knew their fight against darkness would continue, always ready to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. Final chapter. A new alliance. As the dust settled in the aftermath of their confrontation with Fenric, the two captives introduced themselves. The man, with a rugged demeanor, was named Calder, and the woman, possessing a quiet strength, was called Celine. They both shared stories of joining the cult of the Silver Moon, believing it would offer them protection and kinship. Lucas, in a lighter moment, amidst the intensity of their situation, picked up Fenric's now defunct amulet and placed it around his neck. "Isn't that broken?" Elara asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes, but I like the colour," Lucas quipped, trying to bring a bit of levity to the moment. Eldridge, ever the enigmatic figure, interjected, "I must return this reverse moonstone to the cult of the night." With a nod to Lucas and Elara, he disappeared into the shadows, his mission accomplished. Calder and Celine, grateful for their freedom, explained that they had originally joined the cult in hopes of finding help for a cause they were deeply involved in, a rebellion against an oppressive regime in a dystopian city. They spoke passionately about rebellion in the underground, detailing how they were part of a group of rebels fighting to overthrow the tyrants who controlled their city. Their story resonated with Lucas and Elara, who had always stood up against tyranny and injustice. The couple exchanged a look, a silent communication that spoke volumes. "We'll join you," Elara said firmly. "We can't stand by while others suffer under oppression." Calder and Celine's eyes lit up with hope and gratitude. Lucas added, "Count us in. We're ready to help lead this uprising. It's time for the tyrants to fall." As they prepared to depart from the dismantled cult camp, the dawn of a new challenge was upon them. Lucas and Elara, along with their new allies Calder and Celine, were set to embark on a journey into the heart of a dystopian city, ready to ignite the flames of rebellion. The cult of the Silver Moon was behind them, but their fight against darkness continued. They were a team now, united by a common goal: to bring freedom to those oppressed by tyranny. Their next adventure, rebellion in the underground, awaited them. With determination and courage, Lucas and Elara were ready to plunge into this new battle, standing as beacons of hope against the shadows of an oppressive regime. The journey of the two werewolves was far from over. It was just entering a new chapter, one filled with the promise of change and the fire of rebellion. Thank you for joining me on this chilling journey. If your thirst for the unknown and the unexplained is still unquenched, I invite you to delve deeper into the abyss of terror. Just beyond the veil of reality, another story awaits to send shivers down your spine. Dare to join me in the next video, where the unknown becomes known and the unseen seen. Until then, keep the lights dim and your mind open. This is Professor Shadow, signing off.